apparently the rain's gonna return soon. Haven't seen it in a while. And I was looking at the sky. At first I was like, why does it look so weird? I thought it was clouds at first, but I think it's actually like the smoke or whatever, like from all the fires. Maybe I'll try to capture that later. I was actually kind of surprised to read this today. It happened pretty quick. You guys remember yesterday we talked about that drone footage that a lot of people felt was very dangerous and illegal? Well, apparently the person was put on arrest, or specifically house arrest to my knowledge, because of the tape, so it's being investigated now. I mean, to me, like, this is how it should be for the most part. Instead of having really over-the-top laws, you have ones that obviously, like, stuff that you shouldn't be doing, like flying that close to like a commercial airplane and all that. And you have like people in the community coming together and, you know, reporting the person. That's how it should be, in my opinion. I think they're making those sounds on me this time, right? I don't think there's like a wolf or anything around here. Someone's like basically, instead of making ridiculous laws that basically stop everybody, even like the responsible people from flying, eventually it just comes down to having reasonable laws where people can fly, and there's someone doing it irresponsibly, then you have the responsible people essentially reporting them and so forth. It kind of reminds me like of all those fake prank videos, like even before when it got out of control. Like people were going to the public, groping people, doing all kinds of crazy things just to get things like on film. And their defense to it was, it's a prank, whatever, it's for fun. Like that eventually just came down to like people reporting them. Like, you don't need like a law specifically in that case. Like, okay, now because of that, anybody with a camera in general, you have to stay like, you know, whatever, however meters away from people and all that. I mean, there's already a general law for things like that. Like I would imagine there's already a law for things like harassment, so you don't need something like specific, like with another specific tech or item for that. And holy cow, that smoke haze is really noticeable to me anyways. I wonder if the camera can pick it up, or with even the drone later. Now for those proposed drone laws in Canada and giving public feedback, one thing that I've been thinking about is like, well, whose opinions are taken seriously, like who are they talking to? And there's constant reference to things like stakeholders. So it makes me think like, well, what the heck do you classify as a stakeholder? Is it a person running a commercial business, like a large organization, a small business, a regular person like myself, and like a bunch of you too that fly it like recreationally for fun? Because it says here, industry stakeholders, the government, and the general public, with the exception of some recreational UAS users, are supportive of amending the regulations and confident their objectives will be met. I don't know about you guys, but for me, like so far, I'm not confident that the objectives will be met. I mean, it sounds like they need a real big wake-up call, like a bunch of people to like say their voices and all that. But again, it makes me think like, well, what's stakeholders? And in terms of like recreational UAS users, like with the exception of some, it makes me think like, well, what's your definition again of some? Like how small is this pool of people? And it further says, for example, by introducing these proposed regulations, Transport Canada is proposing a balanced approach between mitigating safety risks and the possible inconvenience for recreational UAS pilots to find an appropriate location to operate. Again, it makes me wonder, like, well, what exactly is a stakeholder? Like, from what I gather, like, from what I read in some of the quotes, like here, like in terms of the category says costs, I guess in terms of what they feel it would cost people in terms of expenses for things like the industry in general. And it says the cost estimate can be explained for each of the three stakeholder groups: recreational UAS pilots, industry, businesses, institutions, and government. So there it clearly says someone like me, I guess, would consider as a stakeholder. So I'm thinking there, if it's true, like in terms of people voicing an opinion, making regulations, in general, usually it should be the majority rules, correct? I mean, that's the basic concept of it in terms of things, I guess, like voting or whatever you want to call it. And they basically posted this kind of chart or flow chart, which kind of describes the growth, I guess, drones and stuff like that. And they base it on things like the US stats. Like according to this, like unless I'm reading it wrong, it says here it estimates that out of all the UAVs or drones or whatever you want to call it, 74% of them are recreational and 26% of them are non-recreational. So I'm thinking that's a pretty huge difference in terms of how many recreational pilots there are versus people that do it commercially. So when they say like with the exception of some recreational UAS users, like to me we wonder like, is it really that small, like what it implies here, or is it just that they're selectively listening to like a very tiny group of people because they only want to listen to like whatever, like the bigger companies that do specific types of work as an example? I mean, in my personal opinion, just based on the regulations I've seen, like some of the proposed stuff, it doesn't seem like they talk to like that many recreational users in general, just based on the proposals. And in terms of that breakdown of who they consulted with, again, it doesn't sound like there was many recreational users, which doesn't actually make sense. If this is about something that's trying to help the majority, what people feel like in the big picture, it seems like they're just focused more on a specific niche of people. It made me think of two things in general. If you're not kind of listening to the majority of the people that actually use the tech, and you're just focused on your own specific niche or whatever group they're favoritisming, that's what you want to call it. Because it actually talked about things like innovation and all that, innovation and safety, even though if it comes at the expense of a recreational pilot, you know, having to find like a safe place to fly. There was basically a article. It's fun. I mean, they showed that this drone, like the Japan made or something like that, like it was in space. Looks kind of cool. Can you guys imagine flying a drone like this, something that's circular and all that? Whereas like here in Canada, in terms of innovation, like apparently we had like this drone project delayed, like for up to like, I don't know, 2 years or something like that. Like when you guys link the articles here. I mean, to me, anyways, that goes to show how behind we are in terms of technology, and you know, silly laws or proposals like these aren't helping it at all. You're stopping basically like the youth and everything like that from innovating. Like, what do you think is gonna happen? And the other thing I was thinking too was when it comes to proposed laws and everything like that, I mean, it should be fair across the board as opposed to favoritisming like one specific group of people, like if that's what you want to say. Like, I just saw this trending video today. You want to see this one? It's here in Canada. It was like a biker getting ran by a car. But if you look at it, like, I could say like just in general without context, well, that's why like cars should keep away from bikes. I mean, look at that, a big huge vehicle running into a guy with like a little bike. I mean, you guys should be like whatever 90 meters away from at all times. But in this case, there's a traffic light and you can see basically that biker went through a red light. I mean, so he has to take responsibility there. And that's, in my opinion, that's how the rules and stuff should be for the drones too. I mean, everyone, it should be fair across the board in terms of people following some kind of regulation that makes sense for everybody. Otherwise, at this rate, it would be like you flying a drone in an open field, perfectly safe, and then someone decides to run into it, like gets hit by the propellers or whatever, and then they say, oh, it's the drone's fault. Or you're basically flying, I don't know, like what, 50 meters in the air, and then for some reason, like, I don't know, randomly a helicopter or whatever lands on it, breaks its rotor and all that, and they say, nope, it's the drone's fault, you have to pay me for all the damage. Like, when does it become, like, well, it should be their responsibility too, because we're sharing, like, the space in a responsible way. As well, there should be self-responsibility too. I mean, if the person's flying something in a perfectly open field, like it's perfectly safe, if they decide to do loops or whatever and it crashes and they break, I mean, that's their fault. Like, okay, go buy like another $500 to $1,000 drone or whatever. Like, that should be up to them, just like anything else in life. What the heck was that? I think I was able to pick up the haze a little bit based on what I saw on the screen. Maybe it'll look more apparent, like when I brighten it up a little bit. What the heck? People worried about random drones flying to them. How about a random car or vehicle out of nowhere? What the heck? Well, there's some busy stuff tomorrow too. Dang it! And I wanted to finish that video. The video itself is actually all done, but I'm just working with the sound and stuff like that. Oh, I'll get it done by tomorrow. Why not? It'll make sense for the 200th vlog and stuff too. Anyways, see you guys later.